Good afternoon, my dear students, the students of grade 4. Our lesson today is going to be about the comprehension skill, which is graphic sources, and the story of the far side of the moon. In the graphic source comprehension skill, when I say a graphic source, it means a chart, a diagram, a graph, or illustration that helps you organize information so it's easier to understand. We studied together before the graphic sources, guys. When I say a graphic source, that means any chart or illustration, a graph, like this one, for example, in here, that shows you some information or a bundle of information about the text or about the lesson that helps you or enables you to understand the lesson easily. We will take the graphic source comprehension skill for today, and I'm going to show you how to find the graphic source and how it enables you to understand the lesson easily. In here, as I told you, don't forget the word graphic source, which is chart, diagram, graph, illustration that helps you organize information. We will listen together to this part about the other side of the moon, and we will come back again.
The other side of the moon. There is one side of the moon, called the far side, that no one standing on the Earth has ever seen. Astronauts have gone behind the moon to see the other side. However, no one simply looking up at the sky has ever seen the back of the moon. Why? The answer lies in the way the moon moves. The moon orbits Earth, but it also turns once on its axis in the same amount of time. This is called synchronous rotation. Study the diagram below. Imagine you went to the moon and painted a crater red to serve as a marker. Then you came back to Earth and looked up at the moon night after night. If the moon did not rotate, your marker would seem to move across the moon and even disappear for a while as the moon orbited Earth. But your red crater stays in sight, which means that the moon rotates and shows us only one side. Moon's rotation on its axis. Moon's orbit of Earth.
So guys, in here, he shows you the moon's rotation on its axis. This graph in here shows you the moon's rotation on its axis. In this graph in here, as I told you, it shows you how the Earth or how the moon rotates around itself. Teacher, does that help us? Yes, it helps us a lot, where it enables us to visualize the text itself, to know what's inside the text, to know the information of the text easily. So the graphic source is a chart or a diagram, a graph, illustration that helps us to organize the information in the text, like this one in here. This is the graphic source. So our comprehension skill is the graphic source. What is a graphic source? A graphic source is a diagram, is a chart, like this one is a graph, that shows us the information or that organizes the information of the text for us to make it easy to be understood. This is the first part of the lesson today. The next part will be about the new vocabulary. Our vocabulary today will be related, all of it, to the far side of the moon. Let's take them one by one and revise together the charts for that, or the words cards to know this word we know it or it's a new word. Let's start with the first one, guys. Listen and repeat.
Capsule. Capsule.
Capsule. In capsule, in here, you'll find that the word capsule is the enclosed front section of a rocket made to carry instruments, astronauts, etc. into space. So the capsule is the enclosed front section of a rocket. You know the rocket, guys. I'm going to show you in here the capsule. Yeah, like this one in here. This is the capsule, guys. When I say capsule, it means the front part in here, the front part in here of the rocket. Okay, that carry things for the astronauts or the people that travel to space. So the capsule is what? The capsule is the enclosed front section of a rocket that made to carry instruments or the astronauts. Okay, this is the capsule. The second one,
Horizon.
horizon. What is a horizon? Horizon is the line where the earth and the sky seem to meet. The skyline. You cannot see beyond the horizon. So horizon is the line where the earth and the sky seem to meet. And it's called skyline. So you cannot see beyond the horizon. Let's check the picture in here. Yeah, this is the horizon, guys. What I'm talking about. This is the skyline in here. The skyline in here. This is the horizon. Okay? The next one.
Module.
Module. What is a module? A module is a self-contained unit or system within a larger system, often designed for a particular function. So this is a module. A module is a self-contained unit or system within a larger system, often designed for a particular function. Like how, like in here. There's the module, for example. I told you that all the words today related to far side of the moon, to the lesson of far side of the moon, or related to space. All the words today are related to space. This is the module, guys. Okay, it's a unit, as they told you here, a self-contained unit or system within a larger system. So it's like a system in the space, something related to space or the spaceship. Okay, guys, this is the module. The next one.
Astronauts.
Astronauts. What are the astronauts, guys? The astronaut is a pilot, or a member of the crew. Crew, it means people that work together, a team that work together of a spacecraft. So astronaut is a pilot or member of the crew of a team. They mean here a team of a spacecraft. And in here, you will see it. Yeah, those astronauts. Astronauts in here are people that work in a space, in a crew in the space, like in here, like this one and this one. This is the astronaut, someone who works in the space, and this is another one. The next word after
Astronauts. Hatch.
Yeah, after astronauts, we have hatch. Hatch, what is the meaning of hatch? Hatch in here is a trapdoor covering an opening in an aircraft's or ship's deck. So the hatch is a trapdoor. So it's a door, right? Let's check it in here. You'll find hatch. Yeah, like this one. This is a hatch. A hatch is a door in the spaceship. This is the hatch or the door inside the spaceship. The next one.
Lunar.
Lunar. What is lunar? Lunar is lunar. It means off or like the moon. The word lunar, it means off or like the moon. So lunar is of or like the moon. Like how, teacher? Like this one in here. Yeah, this is the meaning of lunar. So lunar, anything like the moon. Anything like the moon. This is lunar. The next one is
Quarantine.
quarantine. What is a quarantine? All of us now, we live in quarantine. We live nowadays in quarantine because of coronavirus. Quarantine is a detention, isolation, and other measures taken to prevent the spread of infectious disease like coronavirus that make all of us in here live in quarantine. So the meaning of quarantine, it means detention or isolation and other measures that are taken to prevent the spread of the infectious disease. This is quarantine. Like in here, guys, you will find, yeah, this is the meaning of quarantine. Quarantine, it means isolation and other things that are taken in order to prevent an infectious disease from spreading out. Let's go back again. So the last one was quarantine. Let's listen to the part on the right in here, and we will come back again.
Travelers in space. Astronauts are space workers. Since the 1960s, they have blasted off into space. Astronauts explore the unknown, which is exciting. But much of their time is spent working hard. They may repair a space station or a satellite. To do this, they suit up, open the hatch, and float out into space. When they finish the job, they float back into the spacecraft through a small door. Astronauts also do many experiments and make calculations related to their flight. Early in the space program, there were many lunar flights. The astronauts took off in a huge spaceship. Part of it fell away after they got into orbit. Then they rode in a capsule or small space vehicle. By the time they landed on the moon, the astronauts were riding in a module. This tiny spacecraft fit into the larger ship and could fly on its own. The astronauts stood on the moon's surface and saw the Earth on the horizon. When they got back to Earth, they were in quarantine. They had to stay away from everyone to be sure they had not brought back any diseases.
Yeah, still in here, guys, the travelers in space, we have got the words again. I'll repeat the words for you again. The first one is astronauts. The second one, hatch, lunar, capsule, module, horizon, quarantine. Those are the words, guys. Let's go straight now to the lesson, which is the man who went to the far side of the moon, or far side of the moon. In this lesson, you will learn a expository text about the spacemen. And before we start, you have to know the expository text. The genre of this story is expository text. As you know before, when I say expository text, it means that a lot of information about something, about a topic in here. So in all the expository text, we will be learning in here details or information about a topic, a specific topic. Our topic today is going to be about the spacemen, men that are traveling to space, that we call them astronauts. Let's go to the first page in here, listen to the first page, and we are going to discuss it together.
On July 16th, 1969, the United States launched the Saturn V rocket into space. Aboard this spacecraft, the largest rocket ever built, were three men, astronauts Michael Collins, Buzz Aldrin, and Neil Armstrong. Their mission? To be the first to land on the moon. One of these men would not land on the moon, however. That man, Michael Collins, would circle the moon in the command module, while Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong landed the lunar module Eagle and explored the moon's surface. It is July 20th, 1969, a Sunday. It's 4 minutes to 10 in the morning. It is minus 250 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 180 degrees Celsius in the shade, and plus 250 degrees Fahrenheit, plus 120 degrees Celsius in the sun at the Sea of Tranquility, where Neil and Buzz have landed the Eagle. They are 242,000 miles, 390,000 kilometers, from Launch Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. In the earliest versions of the checklists, Buzz Aldrin would be the first man to step down onto the moon. But the lunar module hatch opens inward to the right, and Buzz, who stood right behind it, had difficulty climbing out. When the astronauts tried to switch places during practice, they damaged the cramped cabin. A few months before the launch, it was decided that Neil should go first. He crawls backward through a tiny hatch near the floor. As he looks toward the horizon, he can see that they have landed on a sphere. The horizon is a little bent since the moon is so small. His arms are covered with goosebumps. There is no air, no sound, no life, no footprints. Wait, now there is one. Neil Armstrong is the first man on the moon.
Yeah, so the story starts here with a self-story about Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong is the first man who ever been on the moon. So Neil Armstrong is the first man on the moon. In here, you will find on the second page, guys, the graphic source that I told you about. In the graphic source, you will find a picture of the man, and in here you will find a caption. A caption, it means that you will find here information or details about the topic itself, which helps you or enables you to organize the information of the text. So this, all of it, this whole page, all of it is talking about Neil Armstrong and his journey to space or to the moon. Okay, guys, we will go through the lesson, and he's going to tell you all the stages of the journey of Neil Armstrong. In here, you will find Neil and the Buzz, for example, stay on the moon for 21 hours and 36 minutes. You will find lots of information that we are going to discuss later in the online session. Read this lesson, guys. It has got a lot of information about Neil Armstrong and the first man on the moon, and we're going to talk about it together in the online session. Get ready. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions in the online session relating to this part. See you guys till then, and goodbye.